Okay, hi guys, welcome back to Kayla's Lifestyle. This is where we cook, learn, and have fun together. Thank you so much for being here. And if you're a new subscriber, thank you so much for being in this beautiful channel. So if you're new here, don't forget to click on that subscribe button. And so guys, in Kayla's Lifestyle, you know we have Kayla's Kitchen, and now we are introducing another segment that is called the Unfiltered Podcast. This, you're gonna love it, and I'm sure it will be of great impact to many people. And so guys, today we are having beautiful guests. Najua wamekuwa wakituelimisha sana pale TikTok and Instagram. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi guys, it's Dr. Karanja here, aka the Mind Doctor, and I'm so happy to be here. Unfiltered is such a beautiful word, and we are so happy to be here. It has taken heaven and earth for us to come, but we are so glad to be here in Mombasa with you recording. My name is Dr. Karanja. I am a wife, I am a mom, I'm a doctor, and I am training to be a psychiatrist. I'm in my last year of training, and I'm passionate about mental health. That's me.
Hi guys, I am Dr. Kiogora, and I am I'm related to Dr. Karanja, who is related to Gracie. But we are here today. I'm so happy. I am a daughter, baby girl. Okay, last born baby girl. I have to emphasize.
Not just baby girl.
Not just
last born.
last born baby girl.
That's a whole other.
Yes, I'm a daughter. I am a sister to 3 siblings. I am an aunt. That is very important. I love my siblings' children, and I am a friend. That is who I am. And then now, last but not least, I am a doctor. I am a general practitioner. I have not started specializing yet, but it's in the works.
So guys, our first topic of this segment will be, how do you know if you are not okay? I mean, how do you know if you're not okay? So, our beautiful doctors, please, how do you know if you're not okay?
All right. So, the not okayness affects every aspect of your life. Everything that you do, how you sleep, how you eat, how you think, how you behave. That's how you know that you're not okay. So we're going to break it down in the various what we call physiological aspects of not being okay. So how you are affected in life. So we can, Modern, you can start with that.
Take it away.
Yeah, take it away.
Please take it.
So, when you're not okay, and not okay, we mean not okay psychologically, mentally.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of chatter about it's okay not to be okay.
Yes.
So when you're not okay, it means that, let me just break it down. When you've been through something in life that's difficult, and you feel that the tools you have to cope are not enough, hazitoshani na the problem, that can be the start of not being okay. For example, maybe I lose my job, and I feel that I don't have the skills to cope with not being employed because I don't have money. I feel stressed. I feel like my problems are bigger than me. That's a huge sign that you're not okay. And when you're not okay, it doesn't occur to you immediately that everything is not okay. Normally you'll be struggling. Life just feels harder. My friend described not being okay like walking through honey. It's like you've been put in a jar of honey and you've been told to walk. You know, like the way honey is so thick.
Yeah.
And sticky.
And just walking feels so difficult. And that's what my friend, she's called Kimberly, if you're watching this, hey. Yeah, she's already described not being okay as walking through honey. And a lot of times, not being okay looks like depression.
Yes.
And there are several signs that you can look out for depression. So maybe you can start.
Yeah, I'll start with the one that is most our day to day. Everyone eats, right? So how you
Everyone?
eats kukula, chakula.
Food is important.
Food is important, huh? So it affects your eating. So if you find that one, you are under eating, because there are some people who, when they're not okay, wanasahau kukula. They're like, they miss breakfast and then they take a sip of water for lunch, and then in the evening they're just like, okay, nimechoka sasa naenda kulala, and then they lose so much weight. So it affects your eating. And then now there is overeating. But then this one is a very huge concern because most of the time we need to check on our overweight friends. Because we tell them, hey, life is looking good. Na kumbe ni depression. Anakula kwa sababu ako depressed. You know. So you can find that you are actually overeating. I'm a victim of that. I'm a stress eater. Anytime I'm stressed, I overeat. And it's not that I'm hungry. Neka tu kitu kwa mdomo. So that I can, you know,
Soothe yourself.
so that you soothe yourself. So basically what I'm trying to say is that your eating is affected. Okay? So you can overeat or you can undereat. You know, you can starve yourself and you can actually just overeat. Yeah.
So basically overeating is a coping mechanism.
Yes.
And one of the things that a big indicator is if you're suddenly not able to concentrate on things. If like we're having a conversation, you're not able to concentrate on that. You can't even watch a series. Kitambo, you could binge watch a whole series, 24 episodes per, you know, season. But now you can't watch even the news. If you try to read a newspaper, you feel restless, like you can't concentrate on it. It can be a sign that you're not okay. Of course, this is going to affect your work. The simple tasks you could be able to do, lack of concentration can look like poor memory. You're forgetting things that used to be at your fingertips. You're forgetting dates, you're double booking appointments, you're always late for everything. Unaamshwa kila saa, hey, you're supposed to be at work. Your shift today, how come you didn't show up?
Uko na purpose poverty.
Uko na purpose poverty. Poverty of purpose.
Poverty of
The things
purpose.
that used to give you purpose in your life, now you just don't have purpose.
Just now.
Unaamkanga tu, you just go where you're supposed to go, and most of the times you're late.
Yeah.
Or you miss.
Yeah, you just say, oh, hapana.
You're not okay.
Yeah.
So poor concentration. Another one is if you lose interest. The things that used to interest you, not only can you not concentrate on them, you feel like they're not floating your boat anymore. For example, here at Kayla's Kitchen, you love cooking, you love creating content, you love making people happy. If suddenly all of a sudden Grace is just not interested, you come to her with a problem and she's such an encourager, she's like, sis, ni life.
Ni life.
City life.
Ni life too. Yeah.
Another sign that you can look out for that something is wrong is lack of concentration. If you are not able to sustain your concentration on something, it can be as simple as reading the newspaper. It can be as simple as watching a series or the news. You're not able to concentrate because you feel like your head is so noisy inside. There are so many things happening at the same time that you're not able to concentrate. The moment you touch something, you feel restless, like something is wrong. You have to move to the next thing. Of course, this will affect your work and the things that you're responsible for in life.
Your productivity.
Your productivity. You find you're forgetting dates, you're forgetting appointments, you're double booking people.
You're missing
things entirely. You're in bed and
you're late.
or you're always late. You know, that can be a sign when you feel like I can't be able to concentrate and keep things in my memory. That's a sign. And hand in hand is loss of interest. It's called anhedonia, a lack of pleasure. So the things that used to bring you pleasure, we human beings are wired for pleasure. For example, I love talking to people and taking care of people's mental health. But if you're not okay, the things that you find pleasurable, suddenly they stop being pleasurable and you feel like they're a burden.
It's a burden. Yeah.
Like, you feel like munanisumbua. Like Kayla's Kitchen, she loves cooking, but if you tell her, please make me something simple like githeri, the amazing recipe you made, and she's like, kula tu mkate. I'm not okay. Sijiski, you know. You don't feel like doing anything, you don't feel like getting out of bed, you don't feel like going to work, you don't feel like talking to your friends. Anything that used to give you pleasure now has just become stale and dull, and you're like, there's no point. That's a huge sign that you're not okay.
And for those people when you wanakimbilia drugs na pombe, the first thing this is my solution. Nikikunywa kamnyoso kamwili, kamwili, niko sawa. Can you like help them as in unaweza wasaidia aje? When you unaweza like umse kupunguza ama how do they stop?
That's a coping mechanism to the problem. Okay? So it's like your body, your mind has discovered that there's something going on, and you're unable to cope, so you go for alcohol, you go for drugs. So that's a coping mechanism. Okay. So if you find that you are doing such things, it means that you are not okay, and so you have to seek external kind of reinforcement to help you go through a certain trauma. So that one is more or less a coping mechanism. So it's an indicator that something is off, is wrong.
In fact, someone put it so well, and they said alcohol, drugs, are a numbing mechanism. Who needs to numb themselves? Someone who is
in pain.
Someone who is in pain.
Exactly.
So there's something that has happened in your life, and it's causing you pain. So for you to numb the pain, to stop feeling the pain, you can do two things. Either you can go and do the right thing, which is going to therapy, talking to someone, seeing a doctor, seeing a pastor, a counselor, psychologist, and talking it through.
Yes.
Or you can just go for Panadol, and Panadol can be alcohol, Panadol is paracetamol, a painkiller. You can go for alcohol, you can go for heroin, you can go for cocaine. You can even go for a physical relationship. There are people who numb themselves with things like sex.
Yeah.
There
And
are
being in relationships, serial dating.
You're always with someone, like you can never be alone.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. You're like
break up na mtu leo, kesho unasereka na mtu mwingine.
unaoga unarudi soko.
Unarudi soko.
Kuna shida.
Yeah.
And such people can be helped only by addressing the issue.
Exactly.
You have to talk about nini hiyo inauma.
Yeah. It's like we normally say this, when you're having an abscess is like an example for a boil.
Mahira.
You cannot take antibiotics for it. You have to drain that pus. So alcohol is like taking antibiotics. And
When
then
when the abscess is
there,
still throbbing.
una throb, maira iko hapo tu imejaa, na wewe unakunywa tu antibiotics na painkillers. We have to dunga hiyo abscess, and we have to drain the pus. That's how you heal. Yeah.
And this can affect your mental health.
Of course.
Of course.
Because now the coping mechanism gets a life of its own. You start using alcohol to cope. Then you realize now you don't have control over the alcohol. The alcohol has control over you. So now the problem with these substances that we use to cope is that they are addictive. Addictive means your body becomes dependent on it. So let's say, God forbid, I was sexually assaulted. Like let's say I was raped. I feel very bad about it. I feel in pain. I feel I was violated. I feel something was taken away from me.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to deal with that pain. But I realize when I drink gin or when I drink 2 beers, I feel good. So now I'll start to drink. The problem with alcohol or any substance is that today if I drink 2 beers, tomorrow I'll need to drink 3 to feel the same amount of wellness. Then the next day 4, the next day 5. And then by the time you're getting to like 10, 12, 15 of the same, to feel the same effect, now your body has become dependent on it. So that when the alcohol leaves my body, now I can't even cope. So now I'm just drinking to stay alive. So you see why there's something me and Kendi normally say. When you realize you're in a hole, put the shovel down and stop digging.
Stop digging. You're already deep enough.
You are deep enough.
Hey.
So when you realize uko kwa hii shimo, alcohol is to pick the shovel and start. You're like, I'll dig myself out of this hole.
Exactly, but you're continuing digging,
Yeah.
So the hole gets deeper and deeper. So when you're in a hole, put the shovel down. Don't dig any further. Ask for help. Don't tolewa kwa hiyo shimo. Yes.
And how do you prevent all this?
Prevention is a very huge topic on its own that cannot even be addressed at one go. Most of the time we talk about management. So it has already occurred.
You're not okay.
You're not okay already. So how do we manage that? Because prevention is a bit far-fetched. Because you can't prevent trauma. Maisha ni maisha. Life has to happen. Life is suffering. Okay? You cannot prevent traumatic events from happening. So how do you manage when you get that traumatic event? So when you're traumatized, what do you do? And so most of the time, what we say is, when you're traumatized, start a conversation. Tell someone, mi siko sawa. Like, siko sawa, sikuli vizuri, silali vizuri. I'm having suicidal thoughts. I'm having thoughts of shame and guilt and all that.
Hopelessness.
What do I do? And it's just simple as starting a conversation and just saying, I'm not okay. That's the starting point.
Perhaps even before we go to what do you do, there are a few things we've not talked about in terms of not being okay. Another one is if you feel very hopeless about the future. Una feel hakuna matumaini, nothing will ever change. If you're having thoughts that I'm a failure, I'm not good enough, I've disappointed my family, my career, I've disappointed my friends, and then you start to feel like the only way out is if I take my own life. That's a sign that you're not okay. If being dead feels better than being alive, you may or may not have the courage to make a plan to take your own life. And if you're watching this and you're at that point where you feel like, I want to take my own life, imagine don't do it. Depression is treatable, but suicide is not. You know, suicide is not the answer. So if someone is going through something, just call anyone. You can even call Kayla's kitchen and just have a conversation and talk about it. And there are suicide helplines which we'll insert down below, the line that you can call. People like Befrienders Kenya, they're very passionate about preventing suicide. And if your friend or your loved one is going through that and you don't feel like you have what it takes to help this person not commit suicide, just pick up the phone and call a suicide hotline and say, I have a friend who I think is at risk of taking their own life, please help. Another sign that you can be not okay is if you worry too much and you have excessive guilt. Things happen and you blame yourself even more than is necessary. Maybe somebody died and you're blaming yourself. If something goes wrong, automatically, it's my fault. It's my fault. You feel that very heavy burden of guilt on yourself. That's a sign that you're not okay. And there are many other signs. Yeah. So we can go on with the conversation about what do you do? You know, who should you start that conversation with? Yeah.
You see, the other day I posted on my Instagram and I said, mental health can really affect many people. And also, you calling someone umjulie hali ama depression and stuff like that, umpigie simu umjulie hali, muongeleshe, tumwambie sasa aki uko poa, I was just checking up on you. You know, you've lifted that person's spirit. They feel they matter.
They are seen.
Yeah, as in someone is concerned about me. Me the other day, I was deleting contacts on my phone. I was asking myself, sasa niko na hiyo namba umse. Atujaongea miaka 2. Unafanya nini kwa simu yangu? You're not exactly, you're not calling me, I'm not calling you. Then I saw like I'm also even having a problem because I'm also not getting concerned of the person. Then I deleted. But then also I found that ukipigia mse just talking, ama kupatana na mse mwambie, hi, you look good.
You know, that I'm all about never ever hold a compliment in. If you come across someone and you tell them you look amazing, you don't know what you've done for that person.
Exactly.
You don't know what kind of day they've been having.
Imagine.
And you don't know how much they needed someone to just be like, hey, I see you. Because the world is so big and you can feel so insignificant. But just be that positive impact that you want to see in the
Go
world.
to town and raise your hand and like, can I hug him? You know,
I've seen challenges like those. A guy just goes and stands somewhere with a post and is like, if you need a hug,
Free hugs
Free hugs available. We should just tell people you love them more. Tell people they look good. Tell I love your hair, by the way.
Thank you so much.
It's beautiful.
It is.
If you love someone's hair, tell them you love it.
Yeah.
Normalize holding your friends' hands. Normalize giving people hugs for no reason.
Normalize smiling.
Just
smile.
You're serious all the time.
Yeah, because you know, life is hard. So you might actually just become hard, you know, because of coping. But don't let your circumstance make you, you know, emotionless
Too
and
hard.
hard. Yeah. Remain soft. Like softness is a trend. Like ukua soft too. You know, don't be hardened by the world. Smile.
I also want to add that suffering is a part of the human condition. Imagine we are not promised an easy life, and life is just like that. On this side of the sun, for those who believe whatever it is you believe, myself, I'm a Christian. I think that this earth that we've been placed in is very difficult, and you're not promised a life without problems, no matter what you believe. But I think we can make a little heaven down here if we are supportive to one another.
Yes.
People will keep dying, people will keep being thrown out of school, people will keep being separated and divorced.
Yeah.
People will keep, failing. You'll lose your job, you'll fail that job interview. Suffering is not unique to utaibiwa kila kitu.
You'll be thugged on the streets of Nairobi.
Kwanza sahii Kanairo wezi wanafanya ile kitu.
Exactly.
No, you guys don't like Mombasa. You see Mombasa ukiiba tukishout mwizi and you are attacked immediately.
Nairobi, they have this individualism. You're just like, mwizi. They're like, okay,
Maybe
life.
Life. Problems are a part of life.
Yeah.
And if you go through life with an attitude that problems are not supposed to happen, that causes you to have more suffering. So first of all, acknowledge that life was never meant to be smooth.
Exactly.
And the moment you conquer the problems in this season of your life, you're going to graduate to the next problems. And it's not to give you like a fatalistic perspective or like a hopeless perspective, like everything is, everything has gone to the dogs. No.
Yeah.
It's just to tell you that you need to be able to hold on to your sense of well-being regardless of what's going on outside you.
Yes.
You say, okay, life inafanya ile kitu. Life is just doing its own things that I don't want it to do. But I choose to be okay. My son is doing drugs, but I choose to be okay. I can still smile,
I like what you're saying, because what you're trying to say here is pain is assured.
Pain is assured.
Life, kuna pain. Life is suffering. That's one of the what we call fundamental life facts, that life has suffering. Okay? So what we are all about here is being disciplined through the suffering. Like, how are you going through the suffering? Because it's assured.
Yeah.
So
what do you do about it? And that's what Modern is trying to elaborate. Yeah.
That you choose the right response. You say that simply because my son is doing drugs, simply because I've lost my job, simply because my marriage has fallen apart, I don't have to make that choice to go and shoot that cocaine. I don't have to make that choice and just go and sleep with anyone on the streets to make myself feel better. And also, support is very important. I think also modern life has made life very difficult because we are living a very isolated life. Let's say I come to Mombasa, I find a job. And let's say I don't come with my family. You see, I'll be living in an apartment alone. I don't know my neighbor. The people at work, maybe I don't talk to them. Ikifika saa 10, maybe I go home, then they go home. But you need to be very intentional, by the way, about plugging into the structures around you. Imagine go to church, join the cell group. Let people know, like join the places where people are going. If you're single, join the singles ministry. If you're married, join the marriage ministry. If you're a mother, join Young Mothers Union, nini. Those things provide a lot of support. So that when you're going through a hard time, utakuwa na pali pa kwanza, And it's not only church.
Yeah.
It can even be like, if you're passionate about cycling, you can join a cycling group. You can join a hiking group. They're all over on Instagram. And be very intentional about creating relationships. Because man is not an island. We are relational beings.
This is the thing about even not knowing, as in knowing that you're not okay. Isolation is a major part of mental illness, because your mental illness makes you think or feel that you're all alone. So you are isolated. You isolate yourself. And that's what Modern is trying to elaborate. You need to fight that feeling of isolation. You need to be around people, because once you're around people, they will tell you, oh my God, Ati, your son is taking drugs. Me too.
Same.
Same group.
Same sis.
Same WhatsApp, you know. And then you're like, oh my god, okay, you mean it's not unique to me? But if you're staying in your house, if you're staying in your bedroom, and you're like, oh, I'm separated and divorced, I'm the only one who's divorced in this life, you'll just die from depression. But if you go there and you start
Enda
talking,
nje ukutana na watu wenye wameoga.
wameoga na wamerudi
Wamerudi
soko.
soko.
Now, I've been divorced for 10 years, and you're like, hey,
How did you do it?
how did you do it?
And it's that thing of another thing that makes people not reach out for help is shame. And let me tell you, the devil uses shame.
Sana.
Shame is that thing where you feel like ni mimi peke. I'm the only one who's
Like
this
you're
thing has
suffering
ever
alone.
happened to.
Yes.
And you feel like because my marriage has fallen apart, I am less than.
So guys, that has been our beautiful discussion. Personally, I have learned a lot, and I'm sure you out there, you have been impacted. If you, in case you would like to get in touch with them, we'll leave their details on the description box, and I'm sure you will be helped. So guys, until the next one, adios. Tara, toro, tiri.